That moment when your system turns out to be a lot larger than you initially thought it was. Hey guys, goblins. I don't know why I said guys. We usually don't say that. That's weird. I've been pretty spacey today. If you can't already tell, I've been like pretty emotional. We've been uncovering a lot of stuff recently, and that being a couple of subsystems. So you'll finally get to know what they are today. I should probably start off by saying my name is Dante, and I was a co-host for a minute there, and then I kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and now I am the host of a subsystem, and that's been interesting. Yeah, there's two different kinds, and we've had um, experiences with both of them. Uh, let's see. I'll just start off with mine. This is the one that's like, most commonly thought of when someone says subsystem is the alter with alters. So it's essentially an alter who has D.I.D themselves and has alters themselves. They can have inner worlds and stuff. For example, mine's just like a couple of rooms. It's not as complex usually as the main inner world, but it can be. There's not limits on these things. People don't limit these things. And mine's just a couple of rooms, and yeah, I've got a couple altars. One that very closely resembles ourself from high school. So that's been interesting grappling with that one. Yeah, I'm not gonna disclose any names or details yet, 'cause that's a work in progress. And oh boy, that's been a real mind blower. Yeah. And then to make that better, we had a different kind of subsystem emerge. This is the second kind of subsystem where it's a group of alters that's isolated from like the main group of alters. Like, you have your regular host, regular protector, persecutor, EPs, ANPs, whatever. And then you've got like a whole nother set of that completely cut off from each other, creating like two systems, like subsystems. And we recently had one of those come over. And yes, we have a new subsystem that has apparently been here for a long time, and they're like just now hearing about what's going on in the outer world because they've been really cut off. They were kind of, running things from the inside, how things are hidden, balances between alters and stuff. And they didn't really look in the outer world to see what was actually happening. And this past year has been a wild card. So it turns out the whole system was being run improperly, and I'm smiling right now, but it's just like I'm screaming on the inside. I'm one of the alters that's like pretty like hyper usually. I'm just I don't know, it's kind of rainy and dreary today, so I'm not really feeling it. Also, I was like crying a few minutes ago. I found some really good music. It was very emotionally moving. Yeah. Hence, lack of my usual pep. Yeah. Um, I'm the smiley type. But it was, it turned out our system was running at a hazardous kind of pattern. It was not safe to keep it as it was. As you guys can tell, we look a little different. Trigger warning for weight. We lost a lot of that. Dangerously so. To the point of where our current host was not exactly fit to continue on as host. Though that's been established. Like he's been trying to get out of the host role for years. Like I swear, as soon as Devin became the host, he was like, "No, I don't even want this, man. Like, get me out of here." And everyone is just like, "Dude." But yeah, we had this whole group of alters come in and kind of be like, Well, we were supposed to be waiting out in like outer space, like they're on a spaceship and they just kind of are floating by the regular planet now. And I don't really know what the spaceship looks like. It's really foggy. I just know it's like shiny and it's got like lights, like gold lights and stuff. Yeah, it's really foggy. And they all descended in and they were just like, "What the heck is going on?" Because I don't know if some of you follow us on Instagram. We had this one altar drawing we posted a while ago of this one guy named Nabarius, and he turned out to be an altar that can communicate between like separate subsystems. Like he can go between and be like messages across. And yeah, he brought back messages to the other subsystem that was far away and was like, "Yo, we are in some serious distress here. Like, uh, not good status in our health right now, to say the least." I'm trying to find a way to say it in the least concerning manner. I don't want you guys to worry about us, but our health was in an extremely dangerous point. And that whole subsystem was like, "Holy heck, we need to fix this now." And so like they called for backup, and the backup called for backup. So now there's like two ships, and they're of the same subsystem. They're just like, ships that were near each other, like spaceships. I think they look like UFOs. I hope they do. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool because, we're really into that alien aesthetic. Even our keychain has like a little alien print on it. Yeah. I want to believe, LMAO. But it's weirder when it's in your own system and then they just come in acting like everything's a TV show. We have people like Terrence and this guy named Owen and Misha and a couple others, and they're just walking around like, "Wow, Earth in real life. This is hilarious." And they're so detached and aloof from everything. It's been pretty surreal. But at the same time, they've been repairing our health at rates that no one in our current system setup could have done. Like, they're looking at Morpheus like he's like a wacky scientist type who has no clue what he's doing and is like trying to jam a square cube into a circle hole. Like, we have some altars that are so much more advanced than him that it's just, yeah, the current system can't wrap its head around it. It's like beyond our fathoming, and that's how it was supposed to be, I guess, because that whole, you remember the system inner world globe that we painted? The colored in part was that like isolated part that was supposed to. Sorry, goblins, our camera just crashed out of nowhere, and Dante assumed that nothing saved, so he just went inside after filming. This is Terrence the next day, and I'll finish his thought there. So, as he was saying, the top side, the yeah, the top side of the globe, what we have colored in right now on that inner world globe, that was a subsystem. That planet is a subsystem in our system. And that knowledge has been kept from them and heavily guarded. Because if they were aware of how deep this actually runs, I don't think we would have been able to, like, maintain a normal life. We had to be of a certain age to be able to handle the truth. So our mind kind of made up, kind of more fantastical images, I suppose, and more watered down versions of altars to like gradually introduce through in our growing up. It's not really a childhood growth period, I suppose. Primary growth period, phase one. And yeah, it wasn't until adulthood that our brain was like, okay, yeah, you're adult enough to be able to handle the truth, so we're just going to give it to you bit by bit. And due to unforeseen circumstances, like, yeah, that that made things very difficult. The addition of learning trauma to this past year was just completely unforeseen. Like, as Dante was saying, I'm one of the ones who is in one of the higher up positions in the subsystem. I guess I'm uh, the current like forerunner in the spaceship. Like that's my ship. I don't know what to call myself. I guess I'm one of the new hosts. Yeah, I guess so. I'm the host of that subsystem, so therefore, since I'm really taking over, essentially, I guess I'm the new host for now. Yeah, Devin got the added role of trauma holding persecutor put onto him due to unforeseen circumstances. And just, I don't know where to begin. Like, 2020 has been curveball after curveball, and he's been front locked for most of it, and he's taken just about every hit. So that took an extremely negative effect. Being a system, we should have been switching and dealing with it properly, but we were running incorrectly. So we couldn't switch properly, and it made it so he was basically stuck. And we're currently working on that. That is in progress. I think we're going to be able to get him into the inner world because, our technology is better than Morpheus's. I can't believe they left him in charge of an entire planet. And yeah, yeah, we'll be able to fix things up good. Yeah, Morpheus wasn't really qualified to be running things the way that he was. I'm smiling, but I'm just like, I'm trying to be very nice to the rest of the system. It's like, when you come across that child who is trying to smash cube, that square cube into the circle hole, you have to be like, all right, dear, where does that go now? You can't just be like, stop that. Bad. You can't do that. That's just counterproductive and that'll just hurt people more. So you gotta be nice. So, oh, I could say strong words, but I'm going to be gentle. That's a nice phrase. You know what? I could say strong words, but I'm going to be gentle. I prefer to be gentle rather than harsh, I suppose, unless it comes down to emergencies, then I'll be rude, if absolutely necessary, but I like to avoid that. Yeah, I'm more of an ANP type. Apparently normal part, like the kinds you see running day-to-day lives. That's kind of what ANPs are. I think someone asked in the comment section a couple days ago, I think. Yeah, they couldn't find a good definition. I thought Multiplicity and me had made a ANP versus EP video, but I guess not. But we're not gonna do that because that's just we have to do so much research these days, and right now we just don't have the capabilities for that. So on with the casual whatever we're doing. Uh, I lost my train of thought. We really have been doing that a lot lately, and that's been something that we can remedy as well. Yeah, I was talking about our health. Yes, continuing on with that trigger warning for weight that Dante said earlier, our eating habits had become extremely dangerous, and last time we weighed ourselves was about a month ago when we were at 115 and we're 5'7", and I don't think that's healthy. I mean, we have muscles, but there's no fat and too much skeleton, and skin is loose. So we've had a lot of shock from people in my subsystem when they come out and actually see what's going on because, as Dante mentioned, to us it was like a TV show. looking in on that main planet and on the outer world was literally something you could turn on screens. Where we were so distanced off, and there was like shields around planets and barriers and stuff, and we only had like one messenger, and there were signal jammers, and it was just a mess. So we couldn't actually see what was going on for a while. It was like really delayed, getting things into space delays things already, but not to mention just basically having to go through a maze makes it more complicated, makes it harder to respond as quick as you'd like to. So, we're working on fixing things, and we appreciate your concern. Uh, to answer another question, no, we have not been eating well. We have not been eating well at all. And that's something that's been very frustrating to me because now we basically have to relearn how to have a human diet. I'm, I'm mad. Trauma can really screw up the way that your body wants to process just, consuming things. Like, for the longest time, like, our teeth were clenched to the point where we couldn't get them, like, open past this point. And that made eating really hard. And I was just watching that, like, way after that happened. Like, oh my god, this is not good. Uh, so there's a lot of blockers and stuff that we've been taking down, like specific ones, just to make sure that everything is like gonna be okay and that we're going to actually recover as we're supposed to. Because our system is following like a plan set in place because we were given D.I.D on purpose. That's a thing that can happen, and we will go into that another day. But there's like kind of a plan in set for how our system is supposed to like develop over time, and we were not supposed to get in and be at the main planet until we were at our new place and established with a full-time job and a full like regular day-to-day life in swing. So we had to be, brought in early. We've been making jokes because when we were born, we had to be, induced and born a little bit early just because mom was really, really sick when she was pregnant. And we've been making jokes that it's the same thing. Like, our birth into adult life had to be somewhat induced because of unforeseen circumstances. Sickness being 2020, and I suppose, how do you conjugate that? Induction? Induced, the induction being my planet, or I suppose planet. My planet and ships being accessible to the rest of the known system. Yeah. It's weird to talk about these things. There's so many limiters in place. Like, you may have thought, Cleveland was the main guy who was censoring things and such, but in reality, he was more of a babysitter. Cleveland was a babysitter. And yeah, now the big guys are coming back because we were told to stay away because we were too much to handle for our young mind, and we would overload everything, and so we were sent away and stayed away, and we're going to stay away until we were, given the signal to come back. But, Nefarious sent like an SOS signal, and that brought a scout from my ship towards there. I sent a scout to Nefarious' ship. I was like, okay, go see what's going on, I guess. Like, it can't be that bad, right? Right? And then he comes back a day later like, dude, it's worse. It's so much worse than you could have expected. And then I was like, oh my god, get the ships. And we we hauled ass over there and have just completely interfered. And we're fixing things now. It feels like oh man, if you guys watch Rick and Morty, that one point where Rick and Morty get back into the spaceship and they're just like crying like, "Oh my God. What was that? I had no control over that situation at all. That was pure luck. We almost died." Screaming and crying. That's us internally at this point. It feels like we finally made it out of some like harrowing period of time, and we made it. And it's gonna be okay now, but it felt like things were going to end for a minute there. And that's why we weren't really putting out content because we were in an extremely distressed state. And our content would have been like emotional screaming into the void, and we did not want to put that out there at that point in time. We're gonna save that for another day. So, anyway, that's a bit of what's going on with us. That's a bit of the subsystem and host situation. Yeah, I'm just gonna, give a quick recap again, just because I rambled a lot there. Subsystems, we have both types. There are two types. Um, One that you see in our system is Dante, where he has alters of his own, like a mini D.I.D system, but an altar. And then you have my ship, which is a completely different circle of altars who has been cut off from the rest, like the other planet. Or the planet and the ships have been cut off for a long time, hence them being subsystems. And yeah, those are examples. Um, those aren't clear definitions. Those aren't clear definitions of subsystems. Those are examples, and I'm doing that intentionally because we're not going to be a completely 1000% factual educational channel because that is too much to keep up with right now, and we're trying to find a full-time job here, so we're gonna we're gonna save the educational videos for when we have like a nice office and are not filming in the car. Yes, we're filming in the car. That's part of the recap and update. Our casual tone and change of hosts. I, Terrence, am now going to be the primary default here for probably until at least we get into the house, I think, if not the foreseeable future. Our camera died again, but this time it was because the phone ran out of storage, but I fixed that. Uh, anyway, I said basically everything that I planned to say, so yeah, beyond that, this is just the closing messages, I suppose. Um, yeah, changing in hosts is not an unheard of thing. That's very common. Changing hosts is something that's happened to us multiple times. We've had this happen multiple times. Like very, very many times. So many times that people don't even realize it. And that's happened with other systems too. Like that's completely not unheard of. So whoever says that you can't change hosts is not true. Yeah. Um, Anything else? Yeah. This seems to be another time where a lot of other systems, large and similar to my type, are discovering bigger parts of their inner world, and that can be a really overwhelming and terrifying thing. And the trauma memories that come along with that, and the unreality of what is and is not real. When it comes to that, I suppose, I guess the approach that we're trying to take is trying to heal our emotions, I suppose. Listen to our feelings and try to write them and express them, and we're taking up watercolor. So try to, focus on, I guess, healing the pain. And the memories will solidify themselves along the road as you heal and preferably work with therapists. We have not been scheduling appointments regularly, and that's been a big problem. We try to, but then just keep missing them, which is such a D.I.D thing. We just forget what day it is, and then there goes that. And then we feel too ashamed to contact the therapist for like 2 more months, and then we're like, hey, how about an appointment? So don't do that. don't follow that example. Yeah, learn from our mistakes. Try to schedule a therapy regularly. If you have access to a therapist, it's really for the best. And I can say, like, consistent therapy versus inconsistent therapy. Consistent therapy is definitely better for your health. So take care of yourselves as best as you can, given the circumstances. Um, yeah, given the circumstances. Wear whatever facial protection you need. If you're, in the west coast of the U.S., keep an eye on your air quality. Air on your eye quality. And yeah, if you find that masks, like, oh, sorry if I bumped that, masks themselves, like medical masks, are like a negative trigger. If you only require a facial covering to like go into a store or something, you can use scarves. That's a little thing we've been doing just because we think scarves are cool, but they're multi-purpose. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all that I have to contribute today beyond just further ramblings. Yes, I'm going to cut myself off. So thank you all for watching. Y'all systems are legit, even though they all look different. It doesn't mean your experiences aren't real. And I'm just trying to find ways to say that without saying the word valid, because the word valid is so overused, and I feel like using that on this channel is just something I'm going to cut out. I'm going to stop saying the word valid, but I want to say that you guys are. So I'm just going to be thinking to myself of synonyms for valid and such. Legit. Real. Worth thought and love and care and everything. So take care of yourselves, goblins, and we'll see you all in the next video. And thank you for sticking around for the construction as we're selecting new theme songs and such, and new ending cards. We're using some more, I think, original art and stuff. So that's going to be really fun. Our channel is going to get kind of a revamp. We're kind of going 2.0 here. 2020 2.0. You kind of can't not. But I digress. See ya.